next week at this time, we'll be fully immersed in either pure jubilation or our world will come crashing down and it'll hurt inside right off the bat.
Oh wait, yeah, we're gonna have to record this like way earlier than normal. I'm not missing that
Yeah, well,
for this
or we just won't do
nonsense.
an episode that next week. One or the other.
Or the episode could be us watching the game, and as you said, it comes crashing down and the F bombs start flying.
Yeah,
That might be the best episode we've ever done, to be
it
honest.
it might be. It might be. Yeah, pretty excited. I'm very all of a sudden. No, I've had this impending feeling of doom. Like I don't know.
About next week or the season?
The whole season. The whole season.
Okay.
I'm in
No,
full. I'm in full. Pessimistic.
you don't have to, like, for some reason. There are countless reasons why you feel this way, and I'm here to tell you that feeling is justified. You've seen it happen a million times.
I know. I know.
The 1 million and first wouldn't be that surprising, right?
It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. But I think this one would hurt more.
Oh yeah, I'm invested. Like, I bought tickets to games and stuff.
Yeah.
I like, and you know me. My whole thing is I won't spend money on that team until they've given me a reason to. Don't break my. If you're gonna break my heart, at least work me up
Yeah.
a little bit beforehand.
Yeah. Exactly. So,
Uh,
in
as
case,
far as next week, oh, go
yeah.
ahead, sir.
No, I was gonna say, in case people aren't sure, we are talking about Detroit Lions football.
Yeah, on Chris and Matt's
I mean, to be honest,
Cornbread podcast.
to be honest, we could be talking about pro wrestling with this conversation as well.
Yeah, that's true. Real quick about the Lions
Yeah.
next week. I think you and I have talked about it. My whole thing is I just don't want to see them get blown out.
Yeah. Don't get
And
embarrassed.
and well, and even if they lose by a touchdown
Yeah.
or 2 touchdowns, and it just happened late. I just want to see at least them in the game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Yep.
Defending Super Bowl champs on the road. Give them a game, and I'll still be like, man, the excitement won't fade one bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. So that's next week. But we're here this week, Chris and Matt's Wrestling Podcast 2.0, to talk about wrestling of the professional variety. That can be debated, I suppose.
What, the professional
The
aspect
professional
of
part.
it? Yeah. And that's gonna be a theme of the conversation today.
But yeah. So we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about the week that was, and we're also gonna look ahead. Mostly at. It's been a while since we've really talked about a whole lot of WWE. So we're gonna look at the Payback card, which is happening on Saturday, and it's decent little card for a B pay-per-view, so, or PLE or whatever the hell you call them now. So
Glorified Raws.
sure. But yeah, so where would you like to start? Do you want to start in the past or the future, Matt?
We can start with our past.
Okay. All right. Well, All In was this last week. And we're not gonna break down the whole show. I think what I'd like to do is just kind of start on a positive note. I'd like just to go back and forth and what stood out in a positive sense from the show, and go from there. Whether that be a specific match or moment or whatnot. So I'll let you go first.
Oh joy! You're
Sure.
gonna go to Mr. Happy first for
Yeah.
the feel good. I mean, I think for me the biggest thing is just the accomplishment itself, that they got the ticket record. They pulled off 80,000. It didn't look minor league. It looked like a WrestleMania quality presentation. And it's really cool to just see someone pull that off, because for so long we were begging for someone to not even do that. Just give us a solid alternative, and they brought it up to scale. You can't say that WWE um, has any sort of true advantage anymore other than the built-in legacy. Like they've proven they can do the financial big show and make money off of it. So
It'll be interesting to see because they've already announced for next year. It'll be interesting to see because I still, especially because of how many tickets went so fast, I still think a large part of this is not, no doubt, like, you know, good on them. I'm not saying this to undermine what they accomplished, but they went to a place that has been dying for AEW to come see them for 4 years. It's
yeah.
the only show. It's not like they did this show in the middle of a tour of the UK and Europe. This was the only
Mm-hmm.
show in and out. So it'll be interesting 1 year later. Will that same uh, hunger be there,
Yeah,
or if they're gonna have to work a little harder to
I
get
think they're
that
gonna.
number?
I don't know that you'll get that. Who cares, honestly?
Right.
But I think my gut feeling is it won't be nearly as big in terms of ticket sales unless they deliver a much better card on paper ahead of time.
Right.
Those 82,000 or 81,000, whatever, 35. Um, those were sold based on hype, like you were saying. Next year, you're because there's been some people like I've seen it on Reddit and on Twitter and other message boards. People went that did not have a good experience and didn't enjoy it, didn't realize they were going to be so far away and all that sort of um, the side piece stuff of the fan experience. I think unless you put a monster card together, you'd see a drop. But I mean, still, if they go over there next year and do 65,000,
Right.
you
It's
know,
still pretty impressive.
it's an impressive feat for sure.
Definitely. Definitely.
What about you? What's the because I've got another one, but
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'll
No.
let you get yours in.
I got plenty. Uh, for me, off the bat, it's. I still don't think I've really like whittled down to what my absolute favorite match of the night was. But for me, the biggest takeaway is that the best story in wrestling right now is no longer the bloodline. It's Better Than You, baby.
Huh.
I loved the story they told in one night with those two matches of them winning the ROH tag titles on the 0 hour before the pay-per-view, and then their match was so like I just loved we've talked about it about going into it about how this would play out, and I love that it kind of where Adam was the one who was kind of going. We obviously we didn't get the actual turn during the match, but Adam was the one that was willing to go a little bit further than Max was to try and win the match. Um, and there was that moment right after where Max was the one kind of questioning, like, was this all bullcrap, or do
Yeah.
you really care about me stuff? And so yeah, I just and they're continuing it on their little pre-tape after the
Yeah.
match was really good with Max, like
Gonna go have a baguette.
I'm going to Paris, man.
And what he
um
say? I'm gonna have a baguette,
yeah,
bang some rats,
yeah,
and then I'll be home.
right. And then to real quick touch on Dynamite, they finally I think they finally brought Roddy and the Kingdom into this, and kind of did a better job of explaining the history for people who might not know. Um, and now I'm like super in, like if I wasn't already like all the way in on this, like I am fully in on this now. Um, so yeah, I think that's the main thing that came out to me is there was a lot of people questioning whether that match was and that story was good enough to main event a show of that magnitude, and I think they proved that it was.
Yeah, it definitely it didn't disappoint. Um, Max winning is what I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and them not breaking it up is what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that. I do think the turn is coming sooner rather than later, and it's going to be Adam,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be um, he used that match as the gauge of how much he could trust MJF, and because he was the one pushing the boundary, and MJF wouldn't do the now he knows MJF has bought in, and now he can really stick that dagger
Right.
into
Right.
him,
Right.
and MJF won't see it coming.
Yeah.
And people are falling in love with the babyface MJF. When Cole actually does it, he's gonna get major heat for it,
Yeah.
and they're gonna be off to the races with a really hot angle that I would assume will be at full gear. We'll pay it
Mm-hmm.
off at full gear. Um, as you can tell, I've kind of fantasy booked this
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
head.
No. Go
And
ahead.
then
Yeah.
you can have Cole win, and it sets up the is MJF leaving? Is he staying?
Right.
Because they've talked about, and then his triumphant return when he is to come back after Adam.
Right. Right. Yeah. I feel like on that note, I do feel like the next time they face off, Adam kind of has to win at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
that was his third crack at the title since he's been in the company.
Yep.
And he's lost all three. And then the
Well, he
match.
didn't lose the one. It was a draw.
No. But he had two matches against Hangman for the title.
Oh yeah. Okay, I got you. Yep.
Yeah. They did, yeah, because they had the pay per view match at Revolution, and they did a match
Yep.
on Rampage. I think it was like some sort of Texas death match or something. So yeah, this is his third crack at the title. What?
With two men who are not from Texas.
Well, so yeah, I feel like whenever this comes around again, I think Adam has to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think babyface MJF is going to be the biggest babyface the company's seen in the short time that they've been in existence. I think as much as obviously he's going to go down, known more so as a heel, but he's gonna. I just think that's going to be the biggest thing they've ever seen him as a babyface at this point.
They've got their Rock.
Maybe.
They've got Dwayne in 1999, 2000.
Very
If
well
they
could be.
handle him right, that's who he is. Because no one's gonna out talk him, and he's really good in the ring. So you're not gonna get the guys like us 20 years, well, guys like me 20 years ago who hated The Rock because he couldn't wrestle. Well, couldn't wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think you're absolutely right. And he is proving, and we're going to get to this. Tony has a guy that can draw, and he doesn't have to play games with
Right. Others.
others. Yeah, we'll get there.
Fair enough. What else? What else stood out in a positive sense from the show?
I was really happy that the tag title match delivered. I don't know. I don't know that if it was their best match or it was, an all time classic, but it was good and like it was great to me. And it was over, and I'm like, okay, great match. They lived up to the hype.
That finish was fucking fantastic.
Yes, outstanding,
Like,
outstanding. The timing in that match all around was really, really good stuff.
yeah.
And look, I'm big on both teams. They're these guys and the Usos have changed tag team wrestling for the next 20, 30 years. Kids coming up now learning the business that end up falling in love with tag team wrestling, they're going to be studying these guys
Mm-hmm.
because these guys are the mix of modern day with the throwback, mentality in there a little bit, depending on the act, and just to see the work they've put in the last couple of years for this trilogy pay off was awesome to me.
Yeah, yeah, and it doesn't look like it's over.
Yeah, I don't know that I don't understand, but
We'll get there. We'll get there. Um, but yeah, no, it was a good match for sure. Yeah, they all their matches have been good, but I don't know if they'll go down as like. I definitely think as much as fans like fantasy booked that match, prior
yeah,
when they were in different companies. Like I definitely think FTR's better opponents have been the Briscoes,
yep,
and the Bucks. You could argue it's been the Lucha Brothers or someone hell going back
machine
to
guns.
the Guns, or I was gonna say going back to our age, they could be against the Briscoes too, like which says something. But yeah, like it's kind of weird when you think about that, but yeah, no, it was a good match. It was no doubt about it. And like I said, that finish it had me jumping out of my seat. I was like, oh my god.
Perfect. It was perfect. And to your point about the team, I think both teams have had better matches with different opponents,
Yeah, for sure.
and none of those three were either's best match. So
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I I'm gonna surprise you. Uh, the opening match on the main card was excellent.
yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Like
I
I knew
I
it was going to be a good match.
no. I thought it might surprise you that I would say that it was given my
No, that I know you don't like the guy, but anyone who watched it was like, all right, that was really good.
oh
Like it
yeah.
wasn't 5 star, it wasn't match of the night. That was a really good wrestling
It
match.
was. It was fantastic. The way I love the slight alteration to the Smojo walkaway spot when it was on the floor. That was
Yep,
great. Uh, him swinging Punk through the front of the announce table was fantastic.
outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a really good way to open the show. It almost didn't, but it was a really good way to open the show.
Is that the transition to
No,
the
no, no, no. We can
okay?
no. We'll wait. So, and then real quick, one more thing for me, and then I'll throw it back to you if you got anything else. I thought Jericho Osprey was fantastic too. It
That
was,
that was going to be the last thing
yeah,
I said.
it was. Didn't overstay its welcome. It wasn't any longer than it needed to be. They beat the hell out of each other. I'm pretty sure Jericho gave Osprey when Osprey did that moonsault or whatever, to the outside, and
Mm-hmm.
his knees like landed hard on
No,
Jericho's
I'm
back.
yeah.
When Jericho a few minutes later did that sliding or that basement drop kick through the ropes to the back, I'm
Yeah.
like, that's a receipt.
Yeah, I'll have to go spot that. I don't remember seeing that. I remember him Osprey on that dive
Mm-hmm.
smacking Jericho pretty good,
Yeah,
but
yeah. When Jericho a couple minutes later does that basement drop kick from the inside of the ring to the outside, he nailed it. Like, and that might not have been just how the rest of the match played out and how stiff they were with each other.
yeah,
But I was initially, I'm like, that might be a receipt.
sure, and good on Jericho too for realizing like he can't hang with Osprey in like an athleticism contest anymore. He's like, we're just gonna have to go out there and hit each other to really get people in, and it worked. That suplex on the apron, my God,
Mm-hmm.
like it's
Yeah.
he obviously it didn't do major damage, but man, those are getting hard to watch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um. Are we ready? Osprey's the best in the world right now, right?
Yeah, probably. Just because Danielson can't stay healthy.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no one over in WWE that's no.
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, like I really liked every match that I watched because I didn't end up watching the. Had I known it was as short as it was, I probably would have because it didn't save me that much time. But
They put one women's match on the show, Chris. You couldn't be bothered, and it
nope,
was good. It was really
I'm
good.
sure it would. I just didn't care, and which is the bigger problem than how many women are on the show is that I don't care about any of it.
Man, that's true. That's
Throwing
fair.
this is all I'll say on the matter. Throwing more women on the card isn't going to solve the problem. Bringing in
Yeah.
Mercedes Moné isn't going to solve the problem. Telling better stories is going to solve the problem.
Well, and also, man, I don't like. Feels gross saying it, but like they got to get more consistency out of their women in terms of like their matches because
Sure.
even their tippy top wrestler in the division has multiple bad matches under her belt in recent like sloppy, like you shouldn't be on TV doing this. Can you imagine Bianca being over on Monday Night Raw and having those types of matches and not being knocked down the card significantly? Like that's kind of how it all happened in the first place. Is they only had like three women that could work on the roster, and inevitably Vince was like, "I'm done running these matches. We just got to cool it off for a little bit."
Yeah. I guess for me, I'm willing to forgive more, a lower standard of in ring work if I care about the store, like if I care about what's going
Yeah,
on.
that's why you like Cody.
Sure, yeah, exactly, Mister 3-star himself. Yeah, like the acclaimed matches aren't like knock it out of the
Right.
park, but I care about the acclaimed.
Sure. Sure.
So, but yeah, that's it. And then they get to do it all over again this weekend, and they look, like I said, they already announced Wembley for next year. They better not. They better not. They gotta figure something else out with this schedule.
Well, or the guy who comes up with this idea could get better at his job. I mean, just a thought.
Whatever. Um, because there's no juice heading into this to All Out next week.
No,
Um,
I'm not ordering it.
no,
Like
no.
I don't. I'd rather there. To be honest, there's a Harry Potter double feature playing at one of the theaters down here. I'm gonna go watch that than rather than sit through that show.
I know for the kids, right?
Oh yeah, they've never seen them on the big screen. They've
Okay,
never,
all right.
and Brooklyn's never seen the last two. So
I was gonna say, that's not the Matt I know.
Anyways, back to the wrestling.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and you look, the card is a glorified, like you called Payback a glorified Raw. This is a glorified Dynamite card.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's a couple matches where I want to see Moxley and Orange Cassidy, but not for another $50.
Can we spend like 60 seconds on that?
Sure.
Why the hell is there a match to determine who gets to face the challenger? Or I would understand if Orange Cassidy was 6 wins, 6 defenses into this reign, where you're like, well, the big dog is going to step up if you can't survive. He's on like a 31 match win streak. He didn't need to prove himself to anybody. Like, I hated that so much.
I think it was more the way, yeah, I see what you're saying. I didn't take it that way. I think it was more because Moxley has issues with both guys. Orange gave Penta the match as he's done multiple times throughout his reign, where one of his friends wants a shot, so he'll give him a shot at the title. Um,
Sure.
and then yeah. So whoever won that match was going to face like
I,
I didn't have an issue
I,
with it. I didn't
I,
take I didn't
plus,
take it that way, the
plus
way that you
who
took
has
it.
Moxley beaten in the last 4 months? Who has Moxley beaten clean in the last 4 months of note? He lost Stadium Stampede. He lost Anarchy in the Arena, or Blood and Guts. Didn't they lose Anarchy in the Arena too?
No, they won Anarchy in the Arena.
Okay. He only beat Hangman or Omega because Callis stabbed him with a screwdriver.
He's
The Hangman, the Hangman feud, like it's not like Moxley is, pandemic era Mox where he's untouchable right now in kayfabe. Like obviously Moxley is a big deal, but I really had a problem because Orange has made this belt relevant. Like it's almost as interesting as the world title, which the TNT Championship was never that coveted. I just felt like Orange, you could have done it all the same way, just with Orange cutting the promo without being in a physical match before. But you have Moxley beat when Moxley and Penta face off, or when Moxley and Penta have their match, Moxley wins, and then you go to All Out.
I suppose. Like I said, I didn't have an issue with it, but
I didn't even think about this. Plus, Orange got the victory in Stadium Stampede the night before, and so he had to wrestle the next night. Like, yeah, it just
yeah, or yeah,
you know what I mean.
I know what
like
you
the
mean.
next
Yeah.
show,
Yeah.
he's there. He is like you would think because he won the big match. Whatever.
He's a fighting champion.
I'm all aboard the Orange Cassidy for World Championship. Like that train, I love it. I don't hate it whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But back to All Out.
Yeah. Obviously some plans have had to change. I mean, whether those plans were going to be that great anyway, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, like, I'm really mad that I missed out on that one.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just weird. You got this weird 8-man tag with the Bucks and FTR versus Bullet,
which is
the
clearly
Bang
a
Bang Lane.
storyline. Yeah, it's clearly a storyline match.
Right.
Like that's gonna kick off whatever's coming out of this.
I did love one of the ass boys carrying the Jay White cardboard cutout wrapped in bubble wrap.
Yeah,
that was fantastic.
And counting it as like, well, it's us 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that. Hobbs and Miro. I'd like to see that match, but again, I'm not paying for it.
Right.
Same way with Kenny and Takeshita. Like, the stuff I want to see, I don't want to see that badly, and there's nothing else where I'm like, even spoilers. So if you desperately want to watch Rampage to see who wins this tag team battle royal, skip ahead a few seconds. Dark Order win. So it's Dark Order versus Adam. Like, the Kingdom aren't even in the match. What the fuck are we doing here?
Right. Like, what? It's when I saw the graphic and didn't see Kingdom in it, I was like, all right, well, I don't really care who wins then.
Right.
Because that's where that's where my head is. You get the Kingdom in the ring with MJF, and MJF trusts Adam, and that's where the turn happens.
Yeah. So, and I get that they probably don't want to do that quickly. Who knows? Was Max even supposed to be on the card? And now they feel like they need to put Max on the card. Who knows?
It'll be the fourth time Punk has screwed up his plans for MJF.
Yeah, and then you have that going on. So it's just, either he needs to spread this out more next year, or he needs to get better at his, Mr. Booker of the Year needs to get better at his job.
All they have to do, and it's a very simple idea, is treat it the same way WWE has treated WrestleMania the last couple of years. All In and All Out, two separate shows, but they've got builds going right up to them that are focused on three or four major stories on each show. It's not that hard. And you could even argue, because you're going to get the week of television in between, you could layer the stories between the entire weeks and build massive audience. Oh, like, I don't understand how that wasn't the plan in the first place. Because even with what has happened, this has clearly not been thought out very well going into it. You can't tell me the little backstage incident threw every plan into place,
No,
out of
no.
place. And if that is the case, what you've come up with to replace it is dog shit.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think that only affected that match,
Right.
and that's it. And now poor Ricky Steamboat is gonna get beaten into dust with a strap on pay-per-view.
Someone's gonna come to his aid. It'll probably, yeah, someone will come to his aid.
I'm not so sure. I would not be surprised if at the 11th hour Punk's on the show.
On All Out.
Yeah, the way,
sure. Whatever.
Just the way Tony was. I didn't watch it, but the quotes I read, the way Tony was talking during his presser today. Oh, fans will know, blah blah blah, by Saturday. Hopefully, we'll know by Saturday. If
it's whatever, dude. If he doesn't show up on the card at this point, I'm gonna do one of my stupid morality things, and I'm seriously gonna question whether or not I want to give him any money, because they're still actively advertising the show with CM Punk's image and the stuff. You haven't come out and said our biggest star, who is appearing in his hometown, which many of you bought tickets because you love to see this guy. We're not going to tell you ahead of time he's not going to be there. So if you want to offload your tickets, or you want to you're traveling in from out of town and you go, I don't want to drive 4 hours to Chicago like someone like I've done for these shows. Like, that is a bullshit move if they know he's not going to be on the card, or they have any reason to suspect he's not going to be on the card.
Yeah.
It's nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And it all plays. Are we ready to talk about the elephant in the room?
Go ahead.
All of that plays into my central issue with what happened backstage with Punk and Jack Perry. Tony Khan doesn't know what he's doing, and he is the reason this stuff keeps happening, because he can't make a decisive decision on anything that gets leaked to the press, and because he can't control his inner circle, pardon the pun, and his locker room. This stuff keeps getting leaked out and making everyone's lives miserable. And it came to a head again the other day. If the report is true, which multiple people have now said, that Tony was there when it happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does he allow Jack Perry to get anywhere near CM Punk without stopping him first and saying, what the was that? What are you doing? Like, you think, like, if someone pulls a line like that on Vince McMahon, Vince is just going to be like, oh yeah, come to the back and get into a fight with somebody, and then we'll discuss this. Like, there's no way that would have happened. And for Punk to be, he's been back, what, 2 months, 3 months?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A little over 2.5.
The minute he put his hands on Jack Perry, unless he was hit first, he should have thrown his ass out of the building. How does this happen again already? Because they've set the precedent in that company. You can act like a jackass and be just an unprofessional piece of garbage, but because the boss likes you, or because you make a little money for the company, we're just going to keep letting this stuff happen. Like, everyone acts like this stuff with Punk is started with him. It didn't. Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara were getting in fights, and Guevara and Andrade, and the women were openly, like, just going after each other. They even put it on their stupid TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Like these problems existed before Punk, right? And as I've blathered about a million times, if Tony just nips it in the bud at the start when Hangman goes off, this doesn't happen. If he nips it in the bud when Punk fires back, this doesn't happen. But he just lets it keep going. And you
Mm-hmm.
can't tell me these guys haven't said, like, dude, what the hell?
Right.
Why is this guy doing it? Like, you can't tell me that doesn't happen. Like, it's nonsense.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Going back to conversation, I'm sorry, I'll
No,
stop
go
after
ahead.
this. Going back to the conversation we had last week, dude gets a felony gun charge in Florida, and 10 days later is performing in the biggest wrestling show ever because you don't have the guts to say, hey, you can't be doing that and work for me. Sorry. Like, it's infuriating to watch, like, just um head in the sand mentality that this guy has for this stuff. And then when people are like, hey, what, can I go see CM Punk Saturday, Sunday night, or is he not on the show? Well, we'll get back to you.
Right. Right. He confirmed that an incident happened at the All In, after the
Yeah.
All In, during that scrum, but didn't say anything more and hasn't, yeah. And now it's, no comment, and, you'll know hopefully soon, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, that's not right. I just, as far as Punk goes, I think it's becoming increasingly clear he's not a fit there for whatever reason.
No. I have a theory.
How that company is ran and how he expects a company to be run are clearly two totally different things. And I was reminded today of, if you remember, when on the first Jericho cruise, when he had the Elite on, and this is before the company started, and all that. Cody and Jericho told this story about Punk. I don't even remember if they specifically name dropped him. No, they did. But it was basically like Punk was, yelling at Booker T of all people about cleaning up his trash and stuff like that. And basically I don't know if this is the exact quote. Basically, like, if you have to go around telling everyone you're the locker room leader, you're not the locker room leader.
Right.
He thinks he's the Undertaker in that company, and he's not.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem. They don't have an Undertaker.
I've been thinking the same thing.
Even as, Jericho, for as much of a legend he is, he doesn't have the same.
He's too much of a hothead too.
Right.
Because he's had multiple altercations backstage.
Right. So yeah, I think that's the biggest. And Sting's 60 whatever.
It should be the Big Show and Mark Henry.
It should be.
They've been in. No, hear me out. They've been in that professional environment. They're big enough to handle themselves, and also they've each publicly said stuff like, sometimes you got to let the boys figure it out, and you don't leak it to the press. If you set the precedent that, hey, sometimes the boys got to handle their business, but we don't go running around talking about it. Okay, that's what you need, and it's not going to come from anyone on that roster because none of them have the cachet to pull it off, except for those two.
Right.
Maybe Brian, but I don't think Brian wants to be
right.
That,
yeah, well, I think Brian and Mox and Jericho tried to do that after Brawl Out last year, and it, clearly it didn't take. So I don't know. I just can't believe, like, it's still, like, it's amazing to me, like, how, and look, let me say this first. The initial thing that kind of started this off a couple weeks ago, Punk is absolutely right. Like, if you don't need to use real glass, don't use real glass. Like, that's
right.
That's dumb. But for a guy again who made his mark, breaking the fourth wall and pipe bombs and all this kind of stuff, for him to get so I hate using this word, but so triggered by Jack Perry doing that on that match on the pre-show, like, come on,
He's
dude.
he's jerk like he's literally jerking the curtain for you because you're the star and no one cares about him. Like all he had. Did you see that clip from Hard Knocks this week where that dude takes it like
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rogers throws the ball and he's like, "Come on, bro, that's bullshit." And the guy starts talking. And he's like, "I don't even know who you are," and he's like, "I don't know who you are either." like, you don't know who I am. I'm Aaron Rodgers. Like, that's all Punk had to do. Like, go cry about being on the pre-show. 80,000 people are about to pop for me and just walk out there and be the man.
Mm-hmm.
But he's so thin-skinned about everything.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I've seen that comparison about the pipe bomb. He was given approval to, they told him, we're giving you a mic, say whatever you want. We'll cut you off when we've had enough.
Sure.
That's different than I have to save this company from you because you're tearing it down from the inside and it's real glass, go cry back. What a lame, like that was such a stupid insult to get triggered by and to even think was gonna make you cool in the first place.
Yeah. Keep Justin Timberlake's words out of your mouth, Jack Perry.
um, so back to Punk. I think he's too valuable in a marketing and um, he's just too valuable to the company right now not to be around. This is coming from me, total hypocrite. If they're going to keep Punk around, he needs to be on a Brock Lesnar schedule.
Mm-hmm.
He's in, he does what he has to do, and he's out. He cannot be around the locker room because the people that love him, but everyone else seems to not want anything to do with him. And unfortunately, he can't just work with five guys the rest of his career.
Right.
So if they're gonna keep him in there, it's gotta be all right, Punk. And it can't be an every week thing either. It's gonna have to be CM Punk is here next week. Punk comes in and does Dynamite or does a Collision if they absolutely have to. Does his promo or his segment, and he's gone because otherwise it's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
And that's if they keep him. I don't like. I'm at the point they needed him last year because they didn't know how this was. They don't need him. They don't need him around that badly. But if they keep him around long enough for this TV rights deal, it's going to benefit them long term. And when he inevitably screws up again, that's when they can be like, adios.
Right. I think it's a they'd rather have him. What was the line Heyman used about Sami Zayn? They'd rather have him on the inside of the castle pissing out than on the outside pissing in. At this point,
I don't think so. It's where's he gonna go? He even if he goes back to WWE, again it becomes well now he's their problem. Let him go mess up their locker room, right? Let him.
Yes, but also I don't. I don't think that he would be allowed to do that there. I just don't think he would be, but maybe he would. I don't know.
But either way, I don't think CM Punk is big enough business to really impact WWE that much. He would be an addition to it, obviously. But they're doing so much revenue right now. He's not going to move the needle so much that they're like, oh my God, we went from 68 million in profits to 94 because of CM Punk. Like that's not going to happen.
Right, 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 right.
But
But
if AEW, like I said, if
yeah.
they can keep him around,
Oh, he's
get a
definitely more
TV rights,
valuable to AEW than he would be to WWE, no question. But
right? And I think they're going to end up keeping him around. They're going to try to get this TV rights thing out of the way, and then maybe he'll finally be able to handle this properly. But probably not.
if I'm Edge, my price just went up.
Huge, huge.
Because if you want, look, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they're on the same level or not. But if you want someone who could maybe, possibly take over that Punk slot for Collision on Saturdays, Adam Copeland
Yeah,
might be that guy.
yeah.
So, and look,
Especially if it's a role of like he's not working every week or
mm-hmm.
every other week or every 3 weeks,
And
but
look,
he's around.
we talked about the women's division earlier and its problems, but from a star power standpoint, same thing with Mercedes.
Right.
Look, you need me
Yeah.
more than I need you right now. Because they both,
Right.
I mean, both those people could no problem walking back into WWE tomorrow.
Right. It's just, do they want to?
Right.
And I think they both have enough outside projects they're interested in where they're like, I'm not going back to WWE and having them mess up this other stuff I want to do.
Right. Right. So, yeah. Well, speaking of WWE, unless you have anything else to add.
No.
Oh,
I
I the Acclaimed rule. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, House of Ass.
House of Ass. Those titles.
Those titles are that. I'll have to think about it, but my gut reaction was like, that's one of the 2 or 3 coolest custom titles I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I thought when he turned it around and showed the scissor on the belt, I was like, that's better than the spinner 100%.
Did you see Bowen's drawing?
Yeah.
It's like, this is when I went to them with this idea. This is what my drawing looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just thought, oh, cool, pink straps, and then they turned it around and saw that the ends of the straps. I'm like, that's brilliant.
Scissor!
That is brilliant.
Yep.
So, all right, yeah. So, All Out, not the only show this week. There is also on Saturday, WWE has a little show called Payback. And it has some matches on it. Let me pull those up right now. And we've got LA Knight versus The Miz, which LA Knight should win. This has actually been a decent little feud here with Miz coming out on Monday dressed as LA Knight. That was pretty good. Miz is good at that.
And cutting a spot on promo.
Miz is good at that.
Spot on.
The time he impersonated The Rock, the John Cena stuff. Miz is really good when he gets to do that.
Yep.
But yeah, I love LA Knight's promo on SmackDown where he started talking about Bray and he weaved it in and out to his feud with the Miz and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, LA Knight wins this, right?
Yeah, obviously he has to.
Yeah. We finally get the blow off to the Speculant Stratus feud. It's a steel cage match. Becky wins, right? She's the one sticking around theoretically, right?
Well, Trish has made mention of sticking around and wanting to work with other people.
I mean, hey, look, if she got it good, I hope she does because she's been good on this during this little run here.
I haven't seen it, so I would imagine though Becky makes the most sense. I think they're going to try to heat Becky up again, get her ready for a feud with Rhea, or get her ready for whatever they're going to do for her at Mania. Whether she's going to be like the the front runner to in the Rumble or something like that. But I think they're heating her up.
Yeah, I could see that. U.S. title match. We have Rey Mysterio defending against Austin Theory. I think Rey wins. They've already got better Austin Theory on the roster. We'll get to him later because he's on the show in a different capacity. I just don't think the Austin Theory experiment has worked at all, and I think they're working toward a Rey Escobar match down the line here for this title.
Yeah, I think if they were going to have, if they had big things for Theory in the future, I think he would have held on to the belt until the pay-per-view and then lost it. I think getting it off him beforehand, then he loses the rematch big on pay-per-view, and then Rey, moves on, and Austin can maybe, float away for a little bit.
Yeah. Speaking, I'll just go ahead and talk about it now. There's going to be a Grayson Waller effect segment featuring the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes on the show. I think Waller, in the short time he's been on, he's already eclipsed Austin Theory. So I think it's a good way of getting Cody on the show without him not having a feud or a match right now. So this will be interesting. It's interesting to see what comes out of this segment here.
I think we're going to get a match out of this segment. I think it's going to be one of those, I'd rather not talk. I'd rather just fight, and I think the people here where are they, Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Or is this one in Indianapolis?
No, this is where you stick the enema in the United States.
Shout out Bret Hart. Fuck Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. Yeah, I think this turns into, the great people of Pittsburgh deserve to see a fight.
Sure.
Get a match out of it. Impromptu match.
They're getting a Steel City Street Fight for the undisputed tag team titles between the champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and the Judgment Day team of Finn Balor and Damian Priest.
I think Sami and KO retain.
They should. Mommy made a proclamation on Raw that Judgment Day needs to come out of the pay-per-view here with more gold. So
yeah,
I have a theory about that later. But
I think.
But yeah, I definitely think Kevin and Sami should retain here. Real quick on speaking of Kevin and Sami, I don't know if you've seen it. They did one of those playback videos.
I haven't watched it yet.
It's so good. Like, duh. Like, it's Sami and Kevin together. Like, how could it not be? But like, just having them like banter back and forth watching this match was just
a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's just fun, So I love when they do those. So it's a really neat thing they do for their socials.
Was it Edge and Christian's Pod of Awesomeness or the Steve Austin pod where they did the anatomy of a match where they had the two people on and they broke down the match?
The Pod of Awesomeness, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
This is funny because it's just the two of them ribbing each other. Like,
sure. But I'm just saying, like, I've always liked those sort of things too, where like they're watching a match and talking about.
Yeah. Sammy's like, I don't remember this match. And he's like, I remember the Battleground match. And Kevin's like, yeah, because you won that one. That's why you remember it. For the women's world title, Rhea Ripley defends against Raquel Rodriguez. Rhea Ripley retains.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah, I mean this show's gonna go pretty chalk, but it's a nice way to kill a few hours on a Saturday, I guess. And then the main event, I assume the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship, Seth Rollins defense against Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura knows about Seth Rollins' bad back, So I assume that's going to be targeted. I think this should be a really good match between these two. I'm looking forward to it. I think Seth wins, but I also think that we're going to get a cash in.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to get a cash in attempt. I think Finn's going to muck it up again.
Maybe.
And
I
that's what's going
kind
to
of hope
lead
so.
Priest. And that's what's going to lead Priest to finally leave.
Yeah, see, I think if anything, they're going to kick Finn out.
Or they kick Finn out, one or the other.
See, I don't want them to do that either, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I love how I think I said it on here either last week or the week before, but I love how the briefcase is like being used as part of this story with the it's almost like the briefcase is cursed because every time they go to use it, right. it backfires on them.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's been really well done, and in Judgment Day continue to be one of the most over things on the show. So,
which could be a good reason to keep it going, but they also have a theory over there of well, you got to kill it before it's too late.
Yeah,
and I have a bad feeling. Well, I don't even know if it's a bad feeling. I just have a feeling that's where this is going.
Could be, but yeah. So,
sorry if you can hear a bunch of chaos running through my house. My children don't have school tomorrow.
That's okay. Yeah, I think that's it for that show. Was there something else? Felt like there was something else I was going to talk about with the Fed, but I don't remember what it was now. So I guess it's not that important.
The ridiculous NFL world titles.
Oh yeah, those are awesome.
No, those are ugly. No, they suck. No. The belt should have been way bigger. Yeah, that was. Yeah. And the strap should. Yeah, no, those were terrible. Terrible.
I love how the Jaguars one sold out.
Yeah. I'm sure they get a nice little cease and desist. Like, absolutely.
So here's my question. Obviously, WWE had to go to the NFL first, right? Like, it's not like they just went and made these without consent from the NFL. Like, so did Raj just not ask any of the owners if this was okay with them or what?
Well, no. I would guess they thought because they got the NFL approval, they didn't have to get it from the ownership of every team, but you do. And I'm guessing the Jags were just like, no, we're good. Like, we don't want your $50,000 in what do they call that? Merch money.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep it.
I mean, obviously, I want the Lions to win. I kind of want the Jaguars to win the Super Bowl. That would be hilarious.
Why?
Because the WWE always sends a belt to the teams that win the championships.
Oh yeah. I guess I hadn't thought about that side of it. I can just imagine, like, either they'll be the only team that doesn't get a belt for the last, like, whatever years, or they hand it to them and Shad and Tony Khan are like, right in the trash can.
Yeah. Speaking of Judgment Day, though, have I told you how much I love Dominic Mysterio?
Oh God, yeah, you love him.
Did you see the quote he had this week?
No.
Well, so last week Edge was on the bumper, one of those stupid shows, and they asked him who on the current roster could he see being putting in 25 years at WWE. And
right.
Dom was one of the people he mentioned. And so I don't remember if it was on, someone else from WWE or if it was a different interview or what. But someone asked Dom about it, about him making it 25 years. He goes, well, I'm already 18 years in. So I only got 7 more to go. Beautiful. That popped me huge. God.
Clearly.
It did. I mean, come on. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, technically, he's right. So,
uh, the custody of Dominic Mysterio. I love that match.
that whole feud was great. Some of it's a little cringy, but
Yeah.
knowing that like all the families were in on it and stuff, like they were okay with it.
Right. All right. Let's get out of here. You got any plugs this week, Matt?
Nope, not this week.
Cool. Please like and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe at musicandmoonsaults.com to this here channel. You can follow the show at KM Wrestling Pod, and you can follow me at Ibanez Chris. And yeah, maybe we'll be here next week. Maybe we won't. We'll see. We'll see what we can schedule. But unless
Go Lions, baby.
Go
Lions.
Forward down the field. See ya.